Hello, welcome to this week's edition of WCS Sports Connection. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Qualls, and with me as always is our resident expert, Tate Mathews. Coach Mathews, let's talk a little bit about spring football before we get into the other spring sports going on. What's happening right now in the world of football?
Most of them are wrapped up. I think maybe Summit is still going, but most of them are wrapped up. Independence is wrapped up. The showdown, man, the Ruco-Wilco showdown, scrimmage version, right? Was supposed to be Friday, got rained out.
Because I know Coach Blade's putting a lot of emphasis on the spring.
Right. He's of all of his.
This will tell whether or not they're going to start a new 29-game win streak.
That's right. Of all his accomplishments, spring games are usually right up. No, they're not even spring games. Spring scrimmages are right up there.
Correct.
But there were a lot of people excited about it because two teams that a lot of people are counting on to be right up at the top of 6A next year, and I think they're right. And, man, you want to talk about some talent. You just talk about D1 offers if we want to talk about that. Well, you know there's 2 D1 offers on Independence right now. There's 3 over at Blackman. That would have been fun to watch. But anyways, got washed out. Independence is done. They did not scrimmage Blackman, but it's kind of funny. We were talking about this off air. Coach Blade has one of the big question marks going into spring practice was who's going to be the quarterback. Is it going to be Nate Cisco? Can he do it? And, man, he's shown a little bit more emotion with Nate than he did the past few springs, didn't he? You could tell. He must have had a good spring because Blade kind of grins and says he did really well.
And if you don't know Coach Blade, obviously he likes to keep things close to the vest,
right.
Specifically when it comes to the quarterback. Now, let's talk about Cisco.
Well, I'll share a story real quick. We're talking through text message. How's Nate doing the first week? Doing great. Really well. And I sent back, that's great. What does he do really well? And all I got back was throws it. That kind of gives you a glimpse into how much he's going to give you.
He's not going to hand it off, I can tell you that. Let's talk a little bit about Cisco. You look at him, 6'4".
Tall kid, yeah.
Release point higher than anybody else. I remember him talking about, and you got to think, when Blade talks football, he really breaks it down to specifics. When you're dealing with the quarterback, and he's talking about release point at 6'7"-ish, bunch release point at 6'1", 6'2".
Right.
Brendan Hines about the same. For the first time ever, he's going to have somebody that can really sling it from a spot that the other two couldn't. So if they get on that same, if he has the same success or gets in those same positions and he can deliver, you're looking at something special. Now, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. You mentioned that there were 2 Division I recruits on that team. We all know who they are, Sheffield and Scurry. I'm going to predict that before the end of the year, Troy Henderson will have his first.
I would think so. And who knows, depending on what kind of season Cisco has, he might, but you got to be able to block them, right? So they're going to have to. That's been one of the big questions, quarterback and their offensive and defensive line. But they feel good about those, and I'm so excited about it next year. The difference between sophomore and junior year is a big jump. So I cannot wait to watch Sheffield and Scurry out there. That's going to be fun to watch.
Well, you look at Sheffield from football season this past football season, and you look at him now. I was standing beside him the other day at the track meet. This guy has put on some serious pounds,
right,
in a good way.
Well, you got to remember, he was probably 15 in football season.
Right. When we put on pounds, it's not necessarily a good thing. But when a 16-year-old athlete puts on pounds, he looks really good right now for the athlete that he is. Also, Coach Blade mentions all the time about how he's a leader on and off the field, in the weight room, everything. He's a hard worker. The sky's the limit for this guy.
Well, you were a coach, and you always say when your best players are your best leaders and hardest workers, especially in the off season, that makes your job a little bit easier. So it's going to be fun to watch. Centennial, I think they have, we talk, a lot of people expecting to be Centennial maybe to go down a little bit. I don't think so. There's a lot of talent there. So they're replacing a lot of guys, but there's a lot of talent there. They have their quarterback and Trey Stewart coming back. Here's a name for you. Basketball guys. We already know what Jariel Wilson can do. Coach Kreisky held him out, in live action a lot in the scrimmages, really, in spring practice, because they already know what he can do. Trey Carlton. Sophomore and an athlete. And he wanted to know, is he going to stick it up in there? Can I give it to him 5-6 times and him stick it up in there and really be a workhorse? And the answer he got out of the scrimmages and spring practice is that he can. So that's going to be fun. We're going to be seeing him on the field. Obviously, Tavion Fleming's back. Same kind of deal. They lose Eli Cantina and some other linemen. They're going to have to find some people to fill those roles, but I think they will. I think Centennial's going to have a really good season. I'm excited about them. So I guess all in all, their spring practice, they felt pretty good about what they did.
A lot of people have written them off. DVS Crispin, receiver going, like you mentioned, Eli Katina, all those pieces, but they're going to fly on the radar. That's fine with them. They're going to be one of those teams that's going to strike, and when they do,
they got some athletic ability.
They got some chances to be pretty good there in that 6A group. Outside looking in right now, you look at that group all combined: Brentwood, Centennial, Franklin, Independence, Ravenwood.
Yeah.
Summit stays at 5A. Out of that 6 right there, you got those 5 plus Dixon. I mean, it's going to be a tough call right now. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, but who's going to be the odd man looking guy?
Yeah, and it's only 4 of them in 6A can go, right? So that's going to be tough. It'll be interesting to see. And Brentwood, they had a good spring. They're down to, I think, their 4th, if not their 3rd, their 4th quarterback, Chad Miller. But he threw a touchdown strike against Siegel. So he's just a sophomore and threw a touchdown strike against Siegel.
And those guys are missing because of baseball.
Yeah, they're in baseball. But that's awesome to see that, right? I mean, Siegel put their ones out there, and so Chad went out there. He, considering how young he is and the experience that he's had, he's gone out there and done a good job. So they've gotten a lot of good work done. I bet they're missing probably 20 guys out of spring practice, maybe even more. So, but you're building depth, getting those young guys ready. So I think, all in all, I think Brentwood feels good about their spring. Matt Daniels had his first spring at Ravenwood, had a tough scrimmage against Mount Juliet. The ones held well. This is what we're going to have to figure out, I think, at Ravenwood. It's time to start addressing the depth. I think that's a big thing he's going to have to do is address depth. Mount Juliet, who a lot of people think are going to be near the top of 6A, and they are loaded. I mean, they got a lot of numbers out on their squad. They had them out. They got a lot of size, so they felt like they hung well with them with the ones. After the ones got out, that's where it kind of got away from them a little bit. So they're going to have to address depth.
Well, let's go back to the Brentwood. I think Coach Crawford told me it's over 30.
Yeah.
In there. They actually played an indoor facility at Vanderbilt against Siegel because of the weather that we've had. But yeah. He wouldn't have put a lot of premium on it. You can't put a premium on anything at this point in time in the game, but it's a good opportunity for those younger kids in the seconds and the thirds guys to get in there, get some action against maybe some ones.
Right.
And I really think, I'm going to make a bold prediction right here. I really don't think that Brentwood will be the odd man looking out in that particular group.
I don't either, especially Shacklet and Dreyer coming back at quarterback. As long as they stay healthy, they're going to be a year older. A year more, they've got an entire year of experience under them, bigger, stronger. They're both competitors, both athletes. Parker Bouillon, it looks like, is having a really good spring and going to some of the workouts. He's, getting bigger, faster. So they're going to have some weapons next year. And they're always going to be sound, right? They're always going to be smart. And then you have some guys that can make some big plays. That's when Brentwood has a few big playmakers combined with what they normally do, sound, smart, hard-nosed, tough football, they're pretty tough to beat.
So we know about Brentwood. We know about Centennial. We've heard about Franklin. What do we know anything about right now at the current state with Fairview, Page, spring games? Anything happened with those guys?
I know Fairview was going to scrimmage Forest. I don't know what came out of it. I know this. Cam Harris-Lusk is coming back. He was just a sophomore, and we know what he did. They went 10-0 last year, and he was a sophomore. Now, he had some really good talent around him, and really what he was asked to do was not lose the game, and sometimes that's easier said than done. So, we talked about him. We saw him at the beginning of the season. We think he's going to be a heck of an athlete. Coach Hughes thinks he's going to be. He is a heck of an athlete, going to be a heck of a player. So he's a year older. I think they got to feel really good about that. He's a kid who can beat you with both his arms and his feet. So I don't know how the Forest scrimmage went, but that's one that they've done for the past couple of years, and that's usually a good test at them because, as you know, Forest is. They're not lining up in the spread and throwing it. They're running it right at you. So I would think Coach Hughes got a pretty good feel of this team, how this team will react to physical football. But again, with Cam back next year, I think they got a chance to be really good.
What do we know about the Knights of Nolensville right now? Coach Hester and his group.
Coach Hester did scrimmage Blackman.
Right.
So. If you look at the score and don't know what you're talking about, it looks like Blackman got after him pretty good, and they did. But, remember, we're not even 12 years of a school yet. They haven't even had him in the weight room for 12 years. But he two things came out of it. He loved the way that they fought. He thought they fought and competed hard against, quite possibly, if you're going by the polls, the number one team in 6A next year. They fought, they competed, and he really likes the way that Wharton's coming along as a passer. We already knew that he was an athlete and could run. He really likes the way that he has gotten better in the passing game, actually throwing the ball this spring. So those were the two things that came out of that.
Summit, Old Sparty, right now, what do we know about that? Ty Carter's recruiting is picking up.
Yeah.
Offers are coming in. What do we know about the Spartans?
Same thing that we talked about earlier in the year, what they needed to do. They got to replace three of their, they rushed for over 3,300 yards last year. Now, Ty had about 1,400 of them. The rest of it's gone, okay? So they're going to have to replace almost 2,000 yards in rushing.
What if he replaces it in the air?
Well, I think they'll replace some of it in there, but not 2,000 yards of it in the air, right? But, and we talked about that. That's one of the big things is they're going to have to replace Michael Zakreski. And like we said when we were talking about it, that's not a lot of yards in the air, but he did a lot. He managed the offense and didn't get them beat and got them in and out of plays. And when he did throw, he was usually 2 for 3, 3 for 4. So that's going to be fun to watch. Ethan Cash has got a chance.
I was going to say somebody with a last name affiliated with money.
Yeah, Ethan Cash. I think he's had a good spring. So, those are the questions that they have to answer out of Summit, and I think that they feel like they're getting closer to doing that.
Well, the Jamboree will be interesting. I know we were talking about in the Fairview community, just thinking about Ravenwood making the trip to Fairview. It'd be the first time this year on that schedule that Fairview in their existence, Ravenwood in their existence,
yes,
be playing in the regular season. But then you got Fairview versus Franklin in the Jamboree. You've got.
I think Fairview's more excited about that than Franklin.
I would say you're probably right, but it's going to be interesting to see that dynamic. Page
sure.
also has some games, with some teams that they haven't played before. With the blind draw, Independence playing Blackman.
Right. So we're going to get to see that. It'll just be in the Jamboree.
I mean, it'll just be a half. But imagine. Let's just talk about the first series, what that's going to look like between Independence and Blackman in that particular game. We have all 9 WCS schools at Nolensville, first time ever, +1, who is Blackman playing Independence. But it's going to be an incredible ticket. We'll talk about more about that later as we get closer to time. That will be in August at Nolensville High School. All right, let's get into spring sports real quick. Baseball. Baseball is coming to a close in district play, moving on into regional play. As we know, Brentwood won the regular season in District 11 AAA. However, they got beat in the opening 2 games of district play. And the way that works is if you win the district tournament, win the district outright, you already got the automatic bye, so everybody else is playing for 1 seat. And who gets that seat?
The Summit Spartans.
The Summit Spartans. 2 years in a row, District 11 AAA champions. Could it be? Could it mean that Summit Spartans are gearing up for another big state run? They're sitting here. They're hot right now. They beat Independence 12-0. 0.
That's right.
In 11 AAA play. Now let me just say, Independence has had a record year for those guys. They've won 28 ball games, and they beat them 12-0. So what's going on right now with Summit?
They're playing better baseball. If you talk to Coach Kirby, one thing that I think they kind of had hey, let's air this thing out. Let's have a talk and let's get real here. And let's try to figure this thing out. One thing he thinks is it took him a while to realize, hey, this isn't the 2016 Summit Spartans. This is the 2017 Spartans. Let's quit trying to be the 2016's done. It's gone. Let's be the 2017 Spartans. And he said he put some of that on himself and his coaches too. He said that was part of the coaches' problems as well. So I think they did that, and sometimes this happens. We talked about losing some of the guys they lost last year. Not only Will Dalton, but that entire senior class. You forget Will was the one who won the awards, but that senior class was a great senior class, and so. When you got to replace that many guys, sometimes it takes a little time. That's what I think. You're the baseball expert on this show. But that's what I think is going on. It's tournament time. They're playing their best baseball. The way they coach them throughout the season and the off season, you got to be tough mentally and physically to be a Summit baseball player, right?
Before I get into my synopsis,
Yes.
let me talk about Will Dalton.
Yep.
Will Dalton, San Jac State, comes back way of Columbia State.
I believe they're still playing.
Just last week announces that he's going to Florida. That's big time.
That's big.
Be a Florida Gator there. I hope to see him succeed and continue on his path, get drafted. Bryce Denton, 2 for 3 player of the game the other night for the Peoria Chiefs, single A affiliate of St. Louis. Our baseball is truly rich right now. You get up to the Joseph brothers.
Where's Tony Kemp?
Tony Kemp right now was with the Stros, dropped back down to the Fresno Grizzlies, went 5 for 5 on Mother's Day, looking pretty good for him.
I did not realize this. This is pretty good. Coach Boffman told me this. Billy Krager wins Player of the Year in 11 AAA. That's a big deal. Look at who we've got in this district. Did you know that he's only the second Centennial baseball player to win District Player of the Year, and the other one is Corey Kemp. Tony Kemp did not win District Player of the Year.
Corey won it, his brother, as the catcher.
That's right. Do you know why Tony didn't win it?
I don't know.
There was a guy by the name of Mookie Betts.
Oh, yeah.
Same year.
Overton.
Is that nuts?
That's a pretty good class right there.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
Interesting. So back to Summit. I'll tell you my opinion. My opinion is this. Coach Kirby's group comes in, has a great run. They still have a little bit of their chip on the shoulder. Not that they didn't put the work in, because I know that they did. Mentality wasn't right all year long. They just thought they could show up, old Sparty's here, and we're going to be shaking in our boots, right? Well, they got rocked early, lost some games they probably should have won. Still now, it's just like Coach Kirby. I can hear him right now. Now, hey, we win 20 games, 19 games. Everybody thinks we're dead in the water. But there were some games in there, if you go back and look, probably could have won. A lot of errors were happening. That's that sophomore slump for some of these young guys. They get into district tournament. All of a sudden, they know it's win or go home. Reed Johnson is pitching really, really well for them. He's future Freed Hardman, line down there for them. Commit to those guys who signed with him. Had a really good district championship game. McIlvain's on second base now instead of short. We try to get some things playing out here.
And McIlvain also against Dixon County throws, a no-hitter, I believe.
He was actually a walk away from a perfect game.
Perfect game.
You are correct. So you get the arms going. We may have to have a gut check every now and then. You may have to go from, I'm a superstar third baseman, superstar shortstop, and all of a sudden I'm playing right field to get attention. We're still sophomores. Can't even drive a car yet.
Right. And remember, Money. Blake Money's one of their –
Not Ethan Cash.
Right. Blake Money's one of their top pitchers. He's a freshman.
Right.
I mean, these guys are young, man.
And
were young.
But I watched their body language in the district tournament. I watched them the semifinal round and in the final round in the championship game. And you could see it. It was starting to gel. They're high-fiving. Body language is great. We're back. So I really think right now this is a buzzsaw. This was kind of the Teddy Craig group last year, that Ravenwood bunch that went through. This group right here, though, still feels they are the team to be beat. Mr. May has emerged, and it is right now.
I was waiting for that.
Right now, it's Chad Kirby in the 5-minute.
Curb.
Yes, in the 5-hour interview.
Yeah. Well, in dual sports, multi-sport guys, we love multi-sport guys, right? Wade LaPiccolo. He had a tough, basketball season. He was kind of that tough guy. We went and watched them play that, what was that team? Hamilton Heights. And he had to guard that guy who.
Going to Virginia.
Yeah. And that wasn't easy, right? But Wade fought through it. Anyways, Wade, tough guy. LaPiccolo, he batted over 600 in the district tournament.
While playing solid defense on third base as well.
That's right. So that's fun to see. You've got those kind of things happening.
And that's the thing about it is, we've grown up around baseball, football, all the sports our whole lives. You watch, and I'm not trying to diminish the fact that we have some skilled people on the single A and double A level, but really, really and truly in our district on this AAA level with the Big Six group, to watch the skill level of these kids, not just batting, not just pitching, but to me the most impressive thing is watching them field the ball in those hot hops. Short hops, long, rangy moves. They have to come up firing, get double plays. It's pretty spectacular to watch them work.
Fun to watch.
So it's going to be interesting to watch. Let's look at the future of what the future holds for both teams. Summit 23-11, like I mentioned earlier, 9 of their last 11, including 6 in a row, have been wins. This is their second district championship in a row. They will host Hillwood, who's 13-22. Now, I don't want to jinx us. I really don't.
Right.
I really will. It just could be ceremonial, but I won't say that. I'm going to knock on wood. On paper, it looks like they could move on pretty easily here, but every game, you've got to play every single game. You cannot take a game off. I'm going to reference this. Overton. Overton's also in this tournament. You look at Overton right now. Nashville Overton has 26 wins. Guess who beat them?
Summit?
Nolensville.
That's right.
Two wins. One of their 2 wins.
Coach Hudson beat them.
You've got to stay focused. Summit will host opening round against Hillwood. Brentwood, however, will go on the road to Overton. I would like to think that we feel pretty good about that, but that makes me a little nervous for whatever reason.
Well, I'm glad you went there. Here's my question, okay? And this is why it's so important to win this district tournament. One, I love the rule that we have where the regular season goes on because this district is so tough. You play 3-game series, and we started off with 3-game series the very first week of the season, right? I mean, they haven't even been practicing for a month, and then you go straight into an 11 AAA district series. So I'm glad that we have this in place. But the reason this is so important, and you just alluded to it, who would you rather be playing, Hillwood or Overton, right? I think that Brentwood has the tougher game. So, but you got to think Brentwood's probably going to win. Is that where you're going with that?
I would think so, yeah. I would like
Question is, Summit, how do you who do you throw? You know what I'm saying? Do you save McElvain? I guess he's their number one.
I'm going to tell you right now, I think, and I don't act or even try to disguise the fact that I know what's going on with Coach Kirby and his strategies, but you got to think, given the fact last year, we try to sit on McElvain going into that game. I think that his philosophy may have changed just a little bit about approaching these style games. Okay, you got to win them.
Yeah.
But he's got a good stable to choose from right now.
Right.
You know, do you go young with
Is McElvain the unquestioned number one?
I don't think.
If he is, you don't throw him against Hillwood.
I don't know that he is right now. I think that he's had a great last few outings.
Whoever the number one is, that's who you throw. You throw them against the winner of Brentwood Overton.
Okay.
Don't you think?
I think he's got plenty of options. I really think Reed Johnson right now could be their acting number one. But I think that he's got 3 separate pitchers that can be any given day be the number one.
And the other great thing is if they do what they can do, if they do what they should do with the way the pitch count is, they can throw one of them and not have very many pitches on their count for the week, right? So going to be fun to watch how they handle it. The Brentwood Overton game, I'm excited about that. I think Brentwood wins. I think Brentwood is clearly better, but Overton is a quality baseball program, and so they're going to this one. If Brentwood doesn't show up ready to play, then they have problems.
All right, on the softball side, AAA softball region tournament beginning. Erica Powell, Brentwood Lady Bruins win their first District 11 AAA championship since 2008.
2008.
Lady Bruins are currently sitting at 27-9, beat Dixon County 11-1 to win the district championship, and they have won. The Lady Bruins have won 7 of the last 8. Will host Hillsborough in the regional. I hate to say it again. I think that's definitely ceremonial.
Yes. That one could get.
I'm going to knock on wood just in case, Mr. Producer. You've heard it here. We're going to knock on the wood. I'm going to go ahead and make the statement that I think Brentwood moves on.
Here's what's going to be fun. They had to beat Dixon County twice to make it back through the district tournament, correct?
Right.
Then they come back. They started the game on Friday, got rained out. They came back on Saturday, had to play it Saturday, and they beat them 11-1. I think it's safe to say we're getting ready to see Brentwood and Dixon County for the 3rd time in less than 7 days. That's going to be fun to watch.
Page, 18-9, playing really good softball as well. Beat Cascade twice, 3-1, 1-0. Cascade was sitting, if I'm not mistaken, finishing the regular season at either number 1 or number 2 with CPA.
Yes.
Page finished number 3. Page beats them twice in the championship to win the 12 AA championship after beating CPA earlier, if I'm not mistaken, to have that played out. Page has won 6 of the last 7. They'll host Creekwood in the regionals. Man, the Johnson girl is on fire for Page.
Yep, and then congratulations to Coach Hale. I think she's only been back 2 years. She was the Brentwood coach before Coach Powell, so that's great. She came back there. I think she went there. She came back there to get that softball program right, and she's done it in 2 years, so that's fun to watch.
Here's an interesting note. As you look at the brackets, Tate, Page moves on Creekwood. They'll face the winner of Cascade and Waverly.
Got to think you're going to see Page Cascade again.
You got to think you're going to see Page Cascade, and who will get the last laugh there to go to the house or move on maybe, just maybe, I know it's difficult in basketball to beat somebody X amount of times in a row, but you're going to have to beat them a third time in a row to move on in the regionals. On the soccer side, boys soccer, Ravenwood beats Franklin in the District 12 AAA championship. They'll host Antioch, and Franklin will travel to Glencliff. Now, as much as the softball was ceremonial, would you like to comment on the men's soccer side?
I don't think it's just ceremonial. Those two are not bad in soccer.
Okay.
You got to take that somewhat.
I take that a little bit by shock, actually.
Yeah. I mean, we should win, but no, you can't just show up against those Metro teams in soccer. You're going to have to. Well, remember Overton? Was it Overton? One of them picked Brentwood off about 2-3 years ago. So yeah, but they're going to have to go over there and take big care of business. But this is we talk about how tough all these 11 AAA districts are in all of our different sports. But, boys soccer, they've got a case for being the toughest. I mean, at the beginning, Brentwood could have possibly won the state championship. They're sitting at home right now. I mean, so to make it out of this district, you're playing really good soccer and you got a chance to move on.
Young man by the name of Blake Sams playing lights out right now for Ravenwood. Joseph Malloy of Franklin. Glencliff, Antioch. We'll see what happens there. It looks like then they could match up in the second round. One of the WCS Sports Conference teams will have to go home if they both win in the opening round of region.
Which they will.
Okay, now you come out and say it.
No, I just said they can't it's not ceremonial.
Yeah, on the AA side, Page playing really good. Fairview playing really good coming into the tournament. Fairview happened to go down there to watch this game, Fairview GCA. Fairview takes an early lead. GCA comes back from behind to beat them for the District 11 AAA championship. Now, Fairview's got a pretty tall task. They got to go to CPA. Page loses a CPA in the championship game in the 12 AA side. Will have to go to GCA. I feel really good. I don't know. GCA has some good players. I feel pretty good about the Page part. Fairview, I think, has a tougher battle here, but I'd love to see both of them kind of repeat of last year, win, and then have to face each other to see who goes home.
Yeah, it would be neat. I would think that of the two games, Page obviously has they have the easier game to win. So you'd like to see Page Fairview, but at least we know more than likely one of them's going to make it through.
And the last spring sport is team tennis. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you for sure that this is ceremonial. It's just a matter of time. Brentwood has defeated Hillsboro 4-0 to move on to the next round of regional play. They will face the Hendersonville-Clarksville winner. Best of luck to those two teams, whoever wins that, to draw the short end of the stick, to face the defending AAA state champions, Brentwood, Summer Henry, Katie DeWall. The list goes on and on. Best of luck to those girls playing. And on the boys tennis side, Ravenwood beats Overton 5-0 to move the second round of regional play. Will face Mount Juliet Rossview winner. It's really difficult for those other teams right now to face up with some of the WCS Sports Conference. It would look like me and you playing them in doubles.
That's David and Goliath.
That's right. We do want to say congratulations to Jarrett Jones, the new boys basketball coach at Independence. What do you think about the hire?
I think great hire. I know Independence is excited about it. I think a lot of people are excited about it. So good for him. He's excited, and Greg Glass is one of our favorites. I'm glad to see this guy replace him because he's a good one.
Quick shout out to my assistant athletic director, Major Qualls, is in the house today with the Mr. Producer behind the glass. Thank you for joining us for WCS Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.